Welcome, I'm so glad you all could join me. I'm Chava and you're watching Ask a Midwife. Hi, I'm Chava Ben-Sion, a midwife, doula, and massage therapist. And today I'd like to talk to you about touch and how touch can be a powerful tool to connect with and support the birthing woman. So because touch begins before you ever actually put your hands on the client, the first thing that I do is center myself. I take a few minutes. Before I arrive, usually before I even see her, I take a few minutes to center myself. I try to let go of any negativity, clear away anything that I'm really, that's really bothering me, clear away emotional charges, anything that I feel like could get in the way of my connection with the woman. I might say a prayer for her baby, for her family, for her care providers, and for myself, that I would be able to serve her and give her what she needs. That's the first step, is just focusing on what you're doing, getting clear, and the second thing comes next, which is breathing. So we want the woman to breathe. Right, we all agree about that. The doula or midwife must also adopt a calm, relaxed breath. I've never been successful in encouraging a woman to just breathe and let go if I've been tense, shallow breathing, tight, tense face. I've never had success with that. So first we need to breathe calm, deep, centering breaths, and I take a few breaths. The next thing I do is I assume kind of a relaxed stance or body language. Over the years, a lot of people have said, wow, Chava, you're so relaxed. I feel so relaxed when I'm around you. And I always kind of, I laugh inside my head because I'm not actually that relaxed. I've developed a way of appearing relaxed. I mean, I often am quite relaxed, but I'm not as relaxed as I maybe look. But I've realized over the years that we give a lot to our clients. We give a lot to the people that we're with. And if they see me as tense, anxious, wound up, and they see that in my body, my shoulders are here and I'm talking fast and they're going to see that, the tenseness here and the tenseness here and my shoulders and everything's tight. They're going to notice that. So drop your shoulders, loosen your face, modulate your voice, take care of how you appear, because that gives so much. And I've seen so many brilliant people over the years who haven't quite gotten that particular aspect of care, and that the way that they conduct themselves is directly related to the way that other people feel when they're around us. So that's a big one for me. It's taken me a long time to kind of put that into action, but truthfully, these aren't things that I do consciously. These are all sort of my unconscious steps, and it actually takes a lot longer to read through all these things and discuss them with you than it actually does to, do them. And I find that when I'm with a client, even just briefly for a prenatal visit, I go through these steps over and over, and I just cycle through them. So there's not like, okay, I did step 1, check. I did step 2, check. These are just the things that you want to do each time. Now that we've centered ourselves, we've cleared away our, I don't mean cleared it away as in it won't come back when you leave her door. I just mean you can put it on a little box on the shelf and deal with it later. But we've cleared ourselves, we've assumed a relaxed stance, we've taken a few deep breaths, and we're ready to now interact with our client. The first thing that I do is I just observe. Whether I'm meeting her at the door of my house, she's coming for a prenatal visit, I've come to her house, I've come to the hospital. This might take me 30 seconds, this might take me 30 minutes, this might be something that I just intuit right off the bat. But I observe. What is going on? How does she seem? how's her body language? What's her voice sound like? What do the people around her seem like? It's a skill that takes work and it takes experience, but it's something that anyone can do. We just have to put ourselves to the side, quiet our mind, and really just be open to perceiving what's happening. And you'll be surprised at the kind of things that will come up that you didn't notice before. Now, the next thing after noticing her and observing her and sort of noticing her body language, how is she holding herself, her facial expressions, how's her breathing, what sounds is she making? These sound specific to birth, and it's possible that these things would be more obvious in birth, but even just, she rushes in the door, she's late, she throws herself down, she's frazzled, things like that. At a prenatal visit, I've had that so many times, is we want to consciously increase our awareness. So this is the part where we turn up the volume on our own awareness, okay? As our powers of perception become more sharp, we set our intention. What does this woman need from us? What kind of energy does she need? How do we want our touch to affect her? Does she need strength? Does she need calm? Does she need positivity? Does she need validation and empathy? Does she need energy? What does she need? Does she need a laugh? Touch doesn't necessarily have to be about our hand on her body. It could be about the way we touch her through our words. Touch. Touch is a communication. Okay, that's what I'm trying to give over here, is that when we're touching, we're communicating something. So what do we want to communicate? How do we know what we need to communicate to her? We focus on her, to observe her, to figure out what she needs. So you might not know what she needs, and in general, that's okay. It's much better to say, I don't know, actually, and that's okay, than it is to sort of make up something or guess. And then in general, most things in life aren't emergencies, and you do have the time to consider, to spend more time. I'm going to just wait 5 more minutes and kind of see what's going on. I'm really not so clear on what's happening. I'm going to go play with the kids. I'm going to go do your dishes for you. Let's just sit here. Let me make you a cup of tea. You need to tell me some random pieces of information that aren't really applicable to what we're doing here today. Go ahead. I'll just use my perceptive powers to hear what you're really saying. Before we ever touch a person, what is the one thing we need to do first? That's get their permission. We don't touch people without permission. People need to give us their permission before we touch them. That's really an important rule to remember in all things. From, feeling the mother's stomach, to feel the position of the baby, to, an internal exam, to a massage, whatever it is, we need to ask permission. Everyone's different, and not everyone has the ability to tell us or communicate to us when they're being touched in a way that's uncomfortable for them. So as a massage therapist, when I go ahead and start massaging someone, I explain to them what they're going to be feeling first. I say, okay, I'm going to start gently, and as I work, I'm going to get more deep, but I want you to tell me what you like and what you don't like. And some women are like, yeah, absolutely, I'll tell you what I like, and I'll tell you what I don't like. But some women say they will, but then they actually don't, and I notice that they're tensing up. And I say, does that hurt? Oh, yeah, that's kind of uncomfortable. And I say, well, that's really good that you told me, to kind of validate that, you should tell me, and it's good that you did tell me. But at the same time, I really have to be super sensitive to see, okay, maybe this person isn't able to say what feels good and what doesn't feel good. So I really want to touch her with that in mind and err on the side of caution, in that, if you go ahead and touch someone and you're working on a part of their body, let's say you're working on their hip, and then you want to move to a different area, you need to ask permission to move to that next area. I want to talk about nonverbal cues, nonverbal communication. When we ask permission to, touch a person in some way or in some area, and they give us their permission, they're giving us verbal permission. But there's also nonverbal. There's also, they move closer to us, or they relax, or they say, they make a sound, or it's, in a body language. And there's also feelings that they might be saying yes, but what they're feeling, you're feeling them tense up and you're feeling them draw away and you're feeling them jump, and you have to be tuned into those things too, because sometimes that's all you have and you really need to use your instincts. What I feel is the most successful is to really try to put myself on the wavelength of the client. It helps to get to know her, to kind of understand how she thinks, how her sense of humor is. It's important to get to know her a little bit so that you can understand, like I said in the beginning, what does she need? The whole idea is we're servants. We're here to serve her to the effect of her baby being born safely. But above all else is the health of the mother and baby. But we can provide her and do our best to facilitate a good experience for her. So these things aren't just about touching the woman with our hands. These are how to interact with her. And this material that I'm discussing with you can be used successfully by doulas, midwives, fathers, friends, anybody who wants to connect to someone else. And I think the most important things that I have in my touch toolkit would be a good relationship with myself and a good relationship with my hands. When I feel like I'm in sync with my own self, when I take care of my physical health, when I take care of my emotional health and my mental health, and I take care of my spiritual health, when all those levels of health are cared for, then I really feel in a much better position to care for my client. When I'm clear with myself, I can better perceive what's going on for my client. I can better understand like what her needs are and what she needs and what her family needs, and just be an all-around better care provider to her, more in tuned, and be overall just more effective. So hopefully that helps you. And if you're a doula and you're watching this, I commend you for wanting to get more than the sort of nuts and bolts of, first stage of labor and second stage and third stage. And, there's so much more you could be doing for her. And it's really fun because as you get better at these types of techniques that I'm talking about, you actually grow in yourself and you become a more whole person. You have better overall relationship with yourself, and then your intuition is more tuned, and you have a more acute sense of sort of what's happening, and you can help your client on so many levels. And I really want to encourage you. So whether or not you're a midwife or a doula, I'm so thankful that you're tuning in, and that I'm actually going to continue this discussion in a second part, and maybe even a third, where we talk about like when I'm arriving at a birth, what are some of the first things that I do? Not, I grab out my Doppler and I listen to the baby. What I'm talking about is more of like the energetic side of arriving at a birth. Thank you for watching. I hope you tune into the next class. This is Ask a Midwife. I'm Chava. If this has been helpful to you, please subscribe and share and enjoy. Thanks a lot.